So for a long time, I wouldn't call myself an Ironman. Just before I get the Ironman out there that are shouting at me, my medal's inside in a case, so I'm using this as a prop. If you go onto my YouTube channel, you'll see that during my Ironman Copenhagen in 2023, I completed the whole race with 16K of it with one of my lungs being collapsed through an exercise-induced pulmonary edema. Not that it's big, not that it's clever, but afterwards, after literally surviving, completing one of the hardest things, only 1% of the population will ever do something of that magnitude from a feat of performance. I wouldn't tell anybody that I was an Ironman. No, I haven't got an Ironman tattoo either, so does it even count? But there's a deeper meaning to it. And in today's video, what I'm going to go to and show you is around identity, around achievement. When it comes down to leadership, building businesses, you leading yourself, leading your team, or just trying to explore your kind of capacity, recognizing that achievement can't be your only driver. Ever since I was a kid, in everything that I've ever done, I've wanted more and I've wanted better. The issue with those two words, they're not specific. Those two words don't actually justify the actions needed to get to a step-by-step process to lead to an end outcome. Most people who are watching this, who are putting so much pressure on themselves to win, so much pressure on themselves to grow a business and develop and be successful, or show them exactly what they need, they put their whole identity on that achievement. If I put a variable gun to your head and say, who are you? 99% of the people will lead with what they do. Back in the day for me, it was a professional, I was a rugby player. Now, business owner. Now, dad. Whereas actually, realizing that identity is not even a real thing. Identity is a generalization of belief about your value complexes, your standards, and actually who you need to be at certain times that actually matters most. The rest of this video, we're going to talk around understanding those mechanisms, how to actually take that level of achievement complex that you desire, still maintain that, because remember, that's an elite edge that you have over somebody, but actually how it doesn't take control of you, how you can actually be forthcoming when it comes down to you acknowledging the level of achievement you've already come past, but more so, how can we utilize this to be the person you need to be at the right time to deliver, again, in times that matter. Now, on the Ironman, just to be clear, the Ironman for me was an exploration of my physical capacity. If I was being very honest down the camera right now, it was I didn't know where else I needed something highly audacious to challenge my physical capacity again, because rugby took everything out of me, and I got to being a professional rugby player was unfulfilled. I got back on the pitch after having my leg snapped in half by a horse. I was unfulfilled. I went on to carry on playing professional rugby, still playing 6 more years of pro and semi-pro rugby, and get to the end of it, and just as if I threw it in the bin, I had enough. Reason for that is because it was filling a void. Rugby for me was an expression of me showing that I was good enough. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That gives you momentum. That gets you off the ground. That dark energy. If you're an underdog and you're watching this, I feel you. You know exactly what that's like, as you're proving everyone wrong. When you get to a certain level and you've built the business to a certain piece, you've done that, you've got to a certain grade, that dark energy no longer serves you. And that's where identity is massive, because actually understanding who you are, what you want, what you value, and how you operate gives you the keys to your car back of how to be physically and emotionally tough when you're under the pump, when you're pressed and under pressure, and when other people rely on you to be an asset rather than a liability. Now, when it comes down to identity structures, this is a huge topic, and we are actually going to be getting some specialists in that field, because I feel this is something that is a common theme in the peak performance space, is people talk around identities, but not many people understand the leverage behind them. In my personal anecdotal opinion, this side of your game is about 10%. If you don't have the mechanisms of your performance locked and loaded underneath it, you knowing how to deviate and utilize different identities and that kind of thing, not that it's not important to you, you've got bigger fish to fry. But from an identity structure standpoint, you've got a broad system. So a broad identity structure comes in, identities happen in cycles of your life. Right now, 37, I know I look 47, but bear with me. Identity, for me, is in multiple different spheres. You've got athlete, you've got dad, you've got business owner, you've got husband, you've got son, you've got friend, you've got, I would say to my son about being an explorer. I love nature. I'm a different person at different times, and my values, systems, and standards reflect that in different scenarios. As an athlete, I train 6 days a week. Full stop. Not miss, within reason. Not I don't do it because I don't want to. I do that because I respect my body, and for 20 years, that has been a crux that I've needed to elicit my physical and emotional level of performance to grow with my mind, body, and my business. As an athlete, that's what I do. I still track my food. Do I track my food religiously to the gram to be shredded wheat? No. Nutrition tracking for me gives me guardrails. It gives me a little bit of understanding rather than control about where I am, and gives me something that I can manage, I can measure. I track my data on my recovery scores, my sleep. Does that dictate the pace of everything? No. Last night, I'm filming this, last night my boy decided to be up from 3 until 5 in the morning. No idea why. Had enough. He's only 2. My point. That identity structure is done for my standards I have with my physical body and the values that I hold. As a parent, I don't have my phone on from 5 a.m. until 8 a.m. Full stop. I take George from whatever time he wakes up until 6:30 in the morning, then I start work. That is religious. At that moment, I am a dad. But can you see that there are common themes in relation to those identity structures where I actually have behaviors and values that are around them to fit them? Now, where most people start their journey is they start their journey on a narrow identity. You stay this level and everything is based around that. When I snapped my leg in half, I was willing to have my leg removed surgically to have a 1% chance of getting back and playing professional. I genuinely would tell you, hand on heart, I lost everything. Lost my relationship, I lost all my money, I lost all my material things. I moved just with my dog back up to Donny with one mission. That was it. I burnt the boats and there's no other option. Everything I did was to get back on the pitch at all costs. This sort of mentality is great to gain momentum. That's the rocket ship getting off the floor. That's the driver of getting you to be in that position. But actually, long term, it can be catabolic if you don't understand how to leverage it. And when you are younger, if someone asks me what the one thing I'd go back and change is, because I'm not a firm believer of that, but there is one thing that I would, is that I would have been way more specific about my end outcome of how I wanted to play that narrow mentality of my athleticism. I would have put the number of games that I want to play. I would have put the number of times how long I was to play for. I'd have been the exact level I wanted to play and why I wanted to play it. I'd have given it way more intent, because realistically, I was using grey goal structures to build an ideological outcome that still got to a good position, but could have gone even further if I'd done that. My point to you about the Ironman thing, that is replicated. Why I said that at the beginning was because if you don't make where you said you were going to make to, if your identity is based around one thing, it's sink or swim. Objectively, I completed an Ironman with one lung. In my head, I failed. The reason why was because I didn't do it on my terms. I didn't go sub 12 hours. I said to myself before I'd go sub 12 hours. In the race, I was primed to go 11:40, wherever it was. Well, actually, if I look at what I'd come from, I'm a juggernaut. I was 100 kegs then. Just completed the longest feat of race I've ever been on, and 16K where I was basically pre-heart attack, and I still got through it. I couldn't give myself any credit. The reason why, at that point, when I was growing my business forward-facing in my business, was that I had to rise to challenge and be the best athlete possible. Where realistically, where I sit now in the executive performance and leadership space, as well as working with elite level performers, is that is very, very, very important. But that doesn't make me as a man. That's a structure inside of a certain process on a side of my business, not who is Will Foden. That's what I want you to demonstrate here, is if your mentality is still narrow and you've been in the game for years, that's why you feel underwhelmed, overwhelmed, frustrated, plateaued, pissed off, burnt out, frustrated, annoyed all the time, is because you can't separate what you're doing with who you are. And that there is a huge skill that you need to learn, and please take from this video, is that you aren't who you are in that regard. You are what your standards elicit, and also what your values are. If you're looking for a value-based system, and I will not pretend that I have got the best one, because this actually changed my life. Dr. John DeMartini runs a program called the Breakthrough Experience. He runs a free values test you can have on the internet. I'll link a link to it. Again, absolutely changed my whole perception around what values were. Back in the day, I thought values were Will Foden's relentless, Will Foden's hardworking, Will Foden is a protector, whatever you want to say. That's not what values are. Values are things you value. In your room, what are the top 3 things you'll always have with you? I'll have my phone with me because it has connection, I have education, and I have the capacity to be able to document what I'm doing so I can create stories, things for my business. That's massive for me. Things that I personally value are connection. I massively prefer connection over consumption. The way I shoot my videos, the way that I do my content is straight down the barrel speaking to you, because I imagine I'm speaking to you face to face. I don't jump around and dancing like a weapon trying to gain algorithms or trying to gain likes, because I don't value that. I value someone listening to my message, resonate with my story, and connect with me on a deeper level. 2, I value adventure. I value exploration, and that's physical and a mental capacity standpoint. I want to be in nature because it makes me feel calm, alive, and happy. And a massive part of my values before was money. That used to be a huge driver, but I was using money from a place of lack. Whereas now, I'm driven by impact, because the implication of what impact brings is more money by default. So again, your values will change as you get older. Back when I had my leg snapped off, I had no money. I lost everything, literally. I sat on a sofa watching Eric Thomas videos saying, you don't cry to quit, you cry to keep on going. And I was absolutely cooked with my dog next to me who'd never lived in the house before. I'm now shooting this. We've just built a bespoke office in the back of my garden. What I'm using is HQ, which has got my office and a podcast studio in it. I've got an amazing family. Have I completed the game? No. I'm in a different stage of my life. Values mean different right now. For you, a lot of the time, most people's values are previously old values that aren't meeting current behavioral structures. And that's where most executives and business leaders get bottlenecked, is they don't understand the difference of what their values actually are, not what society tells you they are, what they actually are, and they can't reflect them with their standards. I always say this, don't tell me your standards, show me. Because if you show me your standards, if I looked in on your day to day, open up your diary and show me your diary, what your standards are, I will know without even speaking to you what you represent in that moment at that certain time. Whether you're talking to me about business, whether you're talking to me personally, whether you're talking to me as an athlete, whether you're talking to me as someone who's leading a team, it doesn't matter. Show me your diary and show me your standards, and that, I guarantee, will change your life. So just to summarize, you are not your achievements. Your achievements aren't you. The elite level has the capacity to separate that and keep moving forward and keep exploring what are they actually capable of. 2, they don't take it personally. My identity is no longer tied to just the achievement, because it used to be, and it used to cripple me. And then lastly, if you don't understand your current behavioral standards and your actual values, not what you think your values are, what your actual values are, and you're not living in accordance to them, it's the reason why you've got a negative spiral of your performance right now. If this has been helpful, if this has opened up, I hope it has opened up some loops inside of your process, and you're now asking yourself bigger questions about how to operate, how to build this into your structure, or more so, build a high performance infrastructure across the board, across your mind, body, and your business. This is why Built for Pressure is on the borderline of physical and mental performance, because we're at the front end and at the edge of what it's going to take for you to perform across the board. I'd like to get to know you. Anyway, I digress. I hope you enjoyed this video. There's plenty more videos for you to deep dive underneath, especially we just did one about stress inoculation, which again meets the identity and mental performance piece with what's happening from a physiological standpoint. If you'd like to learn more, check that link, and I'll catch you guys soon.